Hello everyone, this is Kamara. How are you? Well, we are heading into new territory with the winter solstice just happening. However, whenever you see this reading, it's the perfect time for you. I like to do timeless readings. But around the time that I'm recording this is the winter solstice. And so that means that, again, we have all of these, like, it feels like 2021 was so much of portal openings, pathway openings, invitations to level up. Hence, this is the reading. How are you leveling up in your next cycle, in your next phase? So this is a pick a card. So if you don't know how pick a cards work, we have three options here. Option number one, which is energetic shield. I don't know if you could see that. And then option number two is sacred union. Option number three is inner vision. And so what you'll want to do, my advice for pick a cards is to take a moment and see which of these images. We have numbers at the top of each one of these cards. So we have a number 7 here, a number 24, and a number 15. So some people, numbers resonate with them. Other people, it's the image that resonates with them. Other people, it might be the title of the card. So this is energetic shield, sacred union, and inner vision. So this reading is going to be about how you are leveling up in your next cycle. I'm excited to get started. Thank you for joining me. If you haven't already, please follow the channel if you like my readings and you resonate with how I bring forward Spirit's message. Please feel free to follow or like this video. I appreciate your support. And let's get on. We're going to start with group number 1, which is the energetic shield, and we'll go after that. So feel free to watch one of your favorite cards here, or all 2 or all 3. So yeah, see what resonates with you, and let's get started. Hello, group number 1. So you chose this card, energetic shield. And you know what I get from this card right away is that many of you have spent maybe the last year, maybe the last 6 months, or maybe even longer working on where you are putting out, kind of measuring, this is what I'm hearing, measuring your energy output. I think for some of you, you started to notice that much of your life was spent offering your energy to others. You were doing for others, you were serving others. Some of you may even have a job in which you serve others, and it requires a lot of energy, whether you are in the healing profession, or if you are a therapist, or if you are a tarot reader. Whatever it is, you started to realize that in some way you've set up your life to give energy. And so what I'm hearing now in terms of the theme of you leveling up is that you're starting to look at where you spend your energy, group number 1. You're starting to notice that it's only when you have the time to go within, the time to sit in your own energy, that you feel whole enough to offer it to others. But when you're at this pace where you're constantly doing energy output and not receiving any energy back, this is when you start to feel burnt out. You start to feel resentful because maybe you haven't been giving back as much as you've been giving. So group number 1, with this 7, number 7, I feel like you are on a journey to understand what it feels like to rest, to thrive, to be nurtured by your own energy. And that energy is also alignment, group number one. And so the energetic shield, it's speaking to how you are perfecting how you use your energy and how you protect it. So the way that you will be leveling up, and the theme that Spirit is bringing forth, because this is my Spirit's opening message for you, is that you are looking at and devising a strategy for your energy. And for many of you, you're asking from your guides, from your spirit team, to help you recognize when your energy output is not going towards something that feels healthy, that feels like it contributes to your life. So you're starting to recognize this, group number one, and I feel like you're in such a powerful place. It feels like everything is starting to align to you. That vision that you have, that third eye energy, and how it's aligning with your throat chakra. Many of you have had to call people in or out, however you like to use that phrase, around how they don't reciprocate your energy. Some of you have had to literally drop people because there's a lack of respect for your time, a lack of respect for your energy. So I feel like this is a new way in which you are walking in the world, group number one. So that energetic shield, if you're attracted to this group, that's the reason why. It's like you are no longer willing to just give, and give with nothing in return. And that doesn't mean that you're always going to give expecting something, group number one. It's more about the energy around you. Like, is that energy also trying to nurture and care for you while you're doing the same? So it won't always be 50-50. But I think you can get close to knowing. Ooh, sorry, I just shook the phone. I hope that didn't mess up the video. But it's important that you know that given the circumstances, if you really needed someone's help, they would be there for you 100%, no questions asked. And I think for some of you, you had a really stark realization that not all of your relationships were going to be supportive of you if you ever needed it. And so that might have caused some dark feelings for you, some shadowy feelings, but now you're understanding, like, hey, let me invest in relationships, friendships, colleagues that do give back to me, that would offer that in a minute, that doesn't feel like anything I have to ask for. So congratulations, group number one, because that's a huge step away from codependency, away from enmeshment, and becoming a person who can remain giving, remain kind, but also be grounded in reciprocity. So let's go to how you are leveling up with your spirit team, because the spirit's message is very clear that you have been getting the nudge to look out for yourself. So with your spirit team, Archangel Chamel, unconditional love, self-love, heart healing, group number one. Amazing, because I think that your spirit team is going to be helping you to level up in the department of taking care of yourself. They're seeing how spirit's message needs to be supported here. Like, you are looking at your energy output. And so your spirit team is here to help you, group number one. Also recognize that with that comes a necessity to love yourself. A necessity to work from the heart means that there's a way in which we have a fierce heart. The fierce heart makes sure that there's reciprocity in our life. The fierce heart speaks authentically to places where we don't feel like we're getting back what we're giving. So Archangel Chamel is offering you in this leveled up energy, is actually offering you, group number one, the tools for unconditional love. And that's really beautiful to understand that which you're seeking, maybe many of you have sought it outside of yourself, is the one thing that you can learn how to give yourself. And it's easier said than done, right? A lot of people say you just got to love yourself. But I think when you start to work with Archangel Chamel and the rest of your spirit guides and spirit team, you're going to understand, and they're going to help, that energy is going to help you understand what actual self-love is, group number one. What the healing of the heart actually means when it comes to reinforcing your energetic shield. So very beautiful. Very beautiful, group number one. Let's get into a bit of a card reading, because we want to know about how you're leveling up and seeing what the tarot wants to say about that as well. How are you leveling up in your relationships? Let's start there. And this is the Moonchild deck. So how are you leveling up, group number one, in your relationships, which is very important. We're seeing that there's this theme of taking care of yourself, of loving yourself, and your spirit guides supporting that new action for yourself. So how is it in your relationships, group number one, that this will come forward? The Four of Wands. Let's put these up here and we will kind of use more of our space for the tarot. So we've got the Four of Wands. It may lead to a brand new relationship, a committed relationship, a relationship that I could see it two ways. It's either a relationship that you already had going when you start to implement, ooh, that's a lot of cards, I kind of dropped those. A relationship that you already had in place when you started to take the advice of spirit and understand your energy output and input. That relationship becomes more committed. That relationship transitions and changes to something that you really truly desire, group number one. Or it could be that you finally have the tools to recognize what would make a good relationship for you. And that Four of Wands is like, oh, we're bringing that towards you. We have the Ace of Cups in reverse. I think that speaks to how, group number one, you're no longer willing to just jump in and offer your emotions on a plate. That's what I hear. You know, you're no longer willing to do that. I think that many of you are starting to come into a practice where there's discernments being practiced. You're discerning, like, who gets your cup, who gets that emotion from you. And this is a Page of Pentacles also in reverse. I think that's also going to speak to how you even help others. I think in general, group number one, you are a helpful person. I get that a lot of people come to you when they're in need. But I also get that sometimes, because of the time that takes, maybe some of the resources it takes, it's left you feeling a little strain in the Department of Finances, and we'll pull cards for that too. But I think now you're with this Page of Pentacles in reverse, it's showing that there is a way in which you're going to start to communicate with people your limits, what you can do versus what you can't do. Or if someone says, I need to talk to you, you're putting a time limit on the call. Instead of just kind of having them ramble for hours and hours, you're saying, oh, I have 30 minutes for this phone call, or I have 10 minutes for this meeting. Like, you're starting to put parameters on your time, group number one, which I think is very smart. It's just, and you know, unfortunately, because a lot of people are so used to you being widely available, group number one, it's going to feel difficult at first for you to implement such a like strict structure around your time. You're going to start to feel like, oh, this isn't really me. But I think a part of you understands that helping others sometimes can get into a place of where boundaries need to be practiced. And so group number one, this whole entire reading has been about boundaries. So you have Two of Swords here. And that Two of Swords, it's perfect because you're no longer, traditionally it's like someone's blindfolded and they have two choices in swords. Like there's different ways that they can look at things. I think what you're going to understand, group number one, is the paradox of being loving and giving and nurturing, and the paradox of like how there are limits to that, like in terms of like being able to fully express your generosity and wanting to love and give, but also having containment around that, boundaries around that. And I think that Two of Swords is going to help you balance out the duality of that. Yes, you can be kind and generous and giving, and at the same time have your limits, and at the same time take care of yourself and have that self-love that Archangel Chamal is really going to coach you through for your next level up. So this is a great level up, group number one, because you're starting to understand that the best way to give to people is to give to yourself first. You know, to make sure that you are full first, and then give to others, and then understand that you're coming from a place not of a savior, but you're coming from a place of really genuinely wanting to give within the limits of what you have to give. So that's a very mature understanding, group number one, when I think of this level up. Let's go to your finances, because that showed up there, and I just want to ask a little bit about how are you leveling up in your finances? How's group number one leveling up in their finances? Well, those came out. So we have the Seven of Sticks, or that's Seven of Wands, and it's in reverse. And then we have the Daughter of Coins, which is probably the Page of Pentacles, coming up again, upright this time. Interesting. So with this level up change, group number one, your reverse pentacle becomes upright. You've learned the lesson about how time and energy rob you sometimes of even your material resources. And so, but what this card demonstrates or reflects here, this is the Hoodoo Tarot, it's saying that the Daughter of Coins, or the Page of Pentacles, has more to give. There's more availability. You see how there's more of a social scene. It feels loving. It feels kind. Like you can show up for those things, except instead of being overwhelmed. I get a sense that many of you have had to cancel social engagements simply because you were too tired, simply because you just didn't have any more to give, even on a social level. Now, the Seven of Wands in reverse is that you're no longer fighting people about what your boundaries are. You're simply stating them. You're not explaining why you have the boundary. You're just saying, I have this boundary. Like, I'm able to do this. I'm not able to do this. You're not willing to fall into the trap of negotiating your boundaries anymore, group number one. And I think that when it comes to some of you, I get a sense, and because we're talking about finances, that a lot of this has been around someone borrowing money, someone borrowing some kind of resource from you, group number one. And instead of feeling like, oh, you know, I'm just going to tell them that I don't have the money, or, you know, some part of you is starting to understand that I might have the money, I just choose not to give my money at this time to this particular person or event or, you know, project, whatever it is, group number one, you're starting to understand you don't owe people explanations. You can say yes, you can say no, you can say maybe, and take time to listen to your own internal wisdom about whether you have the time and the resources to share something. So that's powerful. And so also with finances, we have Two of Swords. Two of Swords coming up again. And so the financial piece to that, again, is that you are understanding the paradox sometimes of being generous while also not giving everything. You know, there's a way in which you can be generous by also hanging on to your material needs, like satisfying your material needs while being generous. So some people will say, oh, you know, I'm a healer, but I feel really bad when I have to charge people. But I think there's a part of you, group number one, that's understanding now that charging people, paying you for your gift, for having access to you, having access to your time, your mind, your energy, your heart, it's worth something, group number one. And I think you're starting to build a new relationship with not only money, but how you are being paid, how that's impacting your life. You have the Four of Cups here. And it's like, you know, I think that you're coming out of a sense of of how hard it feels to implement a boundary around your emotions, around your time. You're coming out of a sense of feeling resentful, because I think before you had these thoughts about how all of this would work, you having boundaries, you protecting your energy. Before you were doing that, but you were resentful of everyone who took your time. Even when you offered it, you turned out to have resentful feelings because they weren't giving back to you. The energy exchange wasn't the same. And so we have this Five of Sticks too, like you're coming out of relationships that do not feel authentic. Because I think once you start to understand the laws of reciprocity, the dynamics of energy containment for yourself, group number one, you realize that a lot of your relationships weren't that great. You know, they didn't, you had relationships with people who maybe didn't have great boundaries, who challenged you when you wanted to implement boundaries, who didn't respect that you needed time for yourself. So this Five of Wands is telling me already in reverse that you've shifted out of that. You've let go many of those relationships. And now you've also maybe along with that had to do with a sense of maybe feeling lonely because you had to cut out so many people in your life, or you had to course correct so many relationships that you kept wondering, is it just me? Maybe I should take these people back. Maybe I'm being too harsh. Maybe I'm doing this. And, you know, I think when you get the Strength card in reverse, it's saying, no, you are on the right track. Stay strong. Know that you are not alone. You may feel lonely right now, but you are not alone. That your spirit team, your guides are looking out for you. And that simply by loving yourself, being committed to that love of self, you will reap the rewards of beautiful relationships that have to do with balance, that are grounded in reciprocity, group number one. So that's the financial piece, is that, you know, you wonder if any of this is going to isolate you. And I think in the beginning it might feel that way, but ultimately it's kind of like this bitter medicine that you have to take to clear out the toxins, and then you reap the rewards of wellness. And that group number one goes towards how you are living with your energy, giving your energy, and receiving energy. So we've done relationships, we've done your finances. What about in your career, group number one? What about it in your career? Just like, how is this energetic, this new way of, or new relationship to your energy, how is that going to play with your career? Now, some of it may overlap with finances, but sometimes not necessarily, you know. So how is that going to impact group number one's? How's group number one leveling up in this next cycle? How's group number one leveling up in this next cycle when it comes to their career? Let's see here. Group number one, how are they leveling up when it comes to their career? Let's see. It's kind of sensing one couple are coming out here. So, she-wolf. Very interesting, group number one. And then you have the Land of Oz. So group number one, I think with all of these energetic changes, the way that you are starting to fine tune where you spend your time, where you pull back, it's going to allow you to drop into, she-wolf to me is wild energy. It's unlimited. It's testing. It's full of like boundary testing, but in a good way. So she-wolf is more about living your wild, authentic self. And there's a way in which this containment that you need to practice in terms of boundaries is actually going to offer you more time to get wild with your creativity, to get wild with the way that you live. And so that's another part of this paradox that's coming up. I think group number one, you're hearing from spirit saying, contain your energy, make sure that you're discerning, make sure that you have rules and reciprocity and all those other things. And then you're like, okay, I'm going to do those things. And at the same time, there's a blossoming, there's an opening up, group number one. You're feeling like, oh, now I have the time to really dive into the things that I really want to do. I get, for some of you, this is creativity, this is writing, this is painting. I'm really seeing someone weaving right now, the loom. So there's just like all of this wild creativity, the divine feminine. Some of you are getting into the divine feminine in terms of researching history, and you wouldn't have had time for that if you were still engaged with other people's stuff, with other people monopolizing your time. So group number one, you're literally entering into the Land of Oz here. If you see that Land of Oz, it's like there's abundance and beauty on the other side of people and their energies and their desires and their needs. People pleasing, there's something on the other side of that that's for you, that's unlimited, that feels like it has expansion in mind for you, group number one. So that's very exciting. On the bottom of the deck is the Paradox Prime. So there we go, group number one. It's like there's this beautiful paradox that you're in where you're like, I am a giving, loving, nurturing person. And at the same time, I give to myself. I center myself first. And that sounds like a paradox, but actually the way in which you flow into the rhythm of that, group number one, it won't be much of a paradox. It won't seem as two opposite energies trying to make a thing happen. You are going to reap the rewards of the balance of all of this, group number one. So, I think we are at a close here. I want to say that a lot of what's happening for you, group number one, is a sense of self, a sense of being committed to yourself. And in doing that, you open up a brand new world for yourself. And it's so exciting. It opens up new opportunities. It brings in new opportunities for wealth. For some of you, you'll realize you have time for a project, a side gig, a new job altogether. Like there's things in which when you shift this for yourself, it's going to open doors for you, group number one. So that is how you are leveling up in your next cycle, group number one. If you like this message, please give it a thumbs up and also subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I appreciate all your support, and please leave a comment if this resonates with you. Thank you, group number one. Take care. Hey, group number two. So thank you for tuning in to this pick a card on your next level up. And this is a timeless reading. So you decided to go with Sacred Union. So I know that we can intuitively know already that there's something about the theme of relationship for you that's leveling up in your new cycle, group number two. And Sacred Union can be a couple of ways we can look at this. And Spirit is showing me like two different ways of looking at this. One way is that there's a sacred union that is, I'm actually seeing three ways actually. So there's sacred union that you have with spirit, with your ancestors, with your spirit guides. There's a sacred union that some of you will be coming into where you'll be leveling up your spiritual practices. Something about your belief system is deepening right now, group number two. So that's for some of you. For others of you, there is a sacred union that's taking place in terms of finding a soulmate or in terms of connecting with a twin flame. I'm not so sure what it will be. We can kind of go into the reading more, but there's like a sacred union of finding your divine other or finding your divine counterpart. So for some of you, it will be that sacred union as well. And for others of you, there's a sacred union with self. It's that Lover's card. The Lover's card doesn't necessarily, for me, always mean relationship. It means relationship with another. For me, Lover's card can also represent relationship with self, like two parts of yourself finally coming together as a whole. And so there's three ways, three dynamics that could be at play here, group number two. You have the number 24, and I'll bring this up a little bit closer so you could just take a look at the card. But there's just this divine energies coming together, right? And it feels very growth oriented. There's a way in which I'm hearing right now, Spirit is saying that many of you are going to expand on the notion of what love really means. Many of you are going to understand the spirituality in relationship, that relationships are spiritual growth. That is what I'm hearing. Wow. So group number two, not everybody does this in life. Not everyone will go through life and learn from their relationships. But group number two, I have a feeling that this is a big, large part of your life. That your leveling up process means that you are diving deeper into relationships. You're not afraid of relationships, maybe not even afraid of relationships anymore. Some of you, I'm hearing, have been hurt terribly in the past. And what Spirit is saying is that you are coming to a new understanding that even those relationships that harmed you gave you lessons. They put you on the right path of finding sacred union for yourself. And so in many ways, group number two, you've leveled up so much. You've learned from the lessons of the past. You've learned for some of these painful events, which I'm so sorry that those happen. And at the same time, I'm hearing from Spirit that it helped you move to another level. It helped you open up your heart in a particular way in which the poison couldn't keep it closed. That's what Spirit's saying. Poison could not keep your heart closed. And because of that, you are now bringing in the sacredness of relationships. You're no longer looking at relationships from a typical viewpoint of like, oh, does this person love me? And do I love this person? No, it's more of like there's a sacredness in it. There's a way in which this relationship will become. They're showing me, they're like, this relationship is going to be a spiritual practice for you. Very interesting, group number 2. Very interesting. It's almost as if the two of you are divine counterparts. Divine counterparts. Let's get into, so this is Spirit's opening message for you, the sacred union, which is what you were attracted to, group number 2. Let's see how you're going to level up with your spirit guides, or how your spirit guides, angel guides, are going to help you with this particular sacred union, quest for the sacred union. Some of you may meet someone in which you will develop a really strong spiritual practice together. Maybe you two will meditate together, go on meditation retreats. Or maybe you two are into yoga, some kind of spiritual practice. Maybe you two you pray together. Maybe you two visualize together. Oh, wow, that fell out. Okay. Oh, wow. Merlin, group number 2. So the energy of Merlin is showing up for you, group number 2. This is alchemy. Get that? Sacred union, alchemy, manifestation, magician. So, and there's also the number 24 here. Let me show it to you so that you can have kind of a closer look, group number 2. So that's perfect, group number 2. Your spirit guides are saying that they want and will encourage you to be more magical in terms of how you relate to this relationship. This relationship that you're coming into, group number 2, you're gonna find that you and your partner manifest quickly with each other. I'm hearing, and take this with whatever way that you want to take it. I'm hearing for some of you, you may manifest children. So like, if that's something that you want, it is something that this partnership could give you a lot of. That's what I'm hearing. So if that's your situation and that's your desire, that's there. For others of you, there's this alchemy that's happening with this sacred union. There's a way in which, like I said, there's this spiritual aspect of this relationship. If you've heard of Tantra, like I'm getting like maybe some of you will practice Tantra together, which is kind of like a sexual alchemy, sexual spiritual alchemy. Whatever it is, group number 2, this relationship is otherworldly to me. It feels very cosmic. It feels very much like two divine parts coming together, group number 2. That is so beautiful. Now, for those of you in which this is two divine parts of yourself coming together, or yourself coming together with spirit, I believe that if you're coming together in sacred union with spirit, you are going to become the magician. You are going to embody that magician energy. That means using all of the tools, right? The tools of the cups, which is your emotions, the tools of the sword, which is your discernment, your cognitive, the tool of the pentacle, meaning your manifestation in the physical world, and then the tool of of the wand, which is how you take action in life, how you make those things happen, how the manifestation happens. So if your sacred union is with spirit, many of you are leveling up to a very psychic, magical level. If your sacred union is with self, I believe one and the same is going to happen. You're going to understand the inner alchemy of who you are. You're going to connect with the water of who you are, the fire of who you are, the earth of who you are, the air of who you are. You're going to, I think for those of you in which the sacred union is with self, is that you are going to develop a stronger relationship with your just natural self, group number 2. I'm getting really strongly, though, for the most part, that many of you are coming into a sacred union, a sacred relationship. I'm going to have a little bit of tea. Yeah, that sacred relationship. Wow, group number 2, it's very powerful. I would say like I think many of you have been, gravitating towards relationship readings lately. Maybe you've even been dreaming about this divine counterpart. And I want to say that it won't be a sacred union without you, group number 2. This is what Spirit's telling me right now, that this person is not the source, the only source of this alchemy in your relationship, group number 2. Spirit is asking me to make that very clear to you, that you are also a divine part of this whole. And for you to understand that, group number 2, so that you don't go into this relationship giving away your power, giving away the sense of like, oh, because I'm with you now, and you're into meditation, I'm just going to meditate. And while that might happen in a sense, like this person gets you interested in whatever they're practicing, you are going to bring your own power, your own energy to this, group number 2. This is what Spirit wants me to point out to you, that you are not lacking in any part of this. You are a necessary part of this divine whole. So I hope you get that, group number 2. Let's go to how this is going to manifest since relationships are up in this reading. We're going to go to the tarot. This is the moon child tarot. Still kind of new for me. It's a little bit hard to shuffle, but I'm going to do my best here, group number 2. Yeah. A lot of beautiful cards, though. So let's see. How's group number 2 leveling up? Give us more information on group number 2's level up. Oh, wow. Group number 2. Moonchild. I think that speaks exactly to what Spirit just said, group number 2. That in the center of all of this is you. You are a very powerful part of this. The emotions, the feelings, the transformation that you bring to this relationship is necessary. It's a divine part of who you are, group number 2. You are essential. I keep hearing you are essential to this sacred union. You're an essential part of it. And I guess Spirit is saying that it wants you to know that so that you don't give your power away. I just keep hearing that. So you don't give your power away, so that you don't put yourself in a position that feels powerless or a follower. Like Spirit doesn't want you to come at this relationship like that. Oh, wow. Because you are the Empress. Look at that, group number 2. Regardless of your gender, because I don't really read with gender, I read with energy. So group number 2, you are the Empress. The Empress has come fully into themselves. the way that they manifest, the alchemy of who they are, the Empress energy, is that there's growth and manifestation all around me. The Empress understands their power, understands how to create with that. The Empress in many decks also is pregnant. So again, going back to, for some of you, this is very specific. If you want a big family, if you want children out of this sacred union, it will be possible. It is part of the manifestation energy that the two of you will build together. I'm hearing also that whether you have these children biologically or you adopt them or you foster them, this sacred union has the energy, the love, the spirit to hold young people, to hold young energy, babies and young people. So that's for specifically for some of you, if that's what you want. And then there's also this Queen of Pentacles. Wow, group number 2. So I want you to see this Queen of Pentacles too, as I think this is you, group number 2. Again, this is what Spirit is showing me, because Queen of Pentacles is another energy that knows itself, is very confident with how far they've come. This energy utilizes all of the lessons learned in life, which group number 2, you have many, right? You've had to go through maybe some not so great experiences to come to the place of understanding, wow, this is what I deserve. This is what I desire. And so that Queen of Pentacles here, it's almost as if you are ready in all aspects. And, you know, we can go to the financial piece, because I have a feeling that's what's coming up in terms of how are you leveling up, because that Queen of Pentacles is materially, material is taken care of. The material life is taken care of. And I got a sense from you, group number 2, that many of you had decided before the sacred union, or before the sacred union comes in for you, maybe you decided relationships weren't for you, that you were just going to focus on your career, that you weren't going to get your head up in the clouds because you've been hurt so many times. You just wondered if partnership was even for you. And so what I'm getting here, group number 2, is that you focused a lot on your material life. And for many of you, you got into your career. It feels good. And we're going to see how you're leveling up in your career soon. But let's go to the finances, because Queen of Pentacles it says to me that this is someone who's on the path materially, who feels comfortable materially. It doesn't mean that you don't want more, or that you can't use more. But so we got the 4 of Swords here, coming out of a 4 of Swords energy. Maybe for some time, the way that you've been leveling up is not necessarily feeling in action anymore. You're more active with your financial life. Yeah, look at this, group number 2. The Strength card comes up here too. It's as if you decided to take your energy out of trying to chase relationships and focus on the things that you could bring into your life. And I think financially, you decided to stop pondering over when you're going to be in your next relationship, because I think a lot of you feel the energy of this soulmate, like this divine counterpart. You can feel their energy around you, even though you haven't met them yet. Many of you have not met them yet, but you can feel their energy around. You can feel them in your dreams. You can feel their energy. And so for some of you in the very beginning, you were just so wanting to meet this person that it was taking you away from the things that you did need to do in your life to feel secure. But I get a sense, group number 2, that you turned that around. Like you stopped daydreaming about this beautiful, powerful, divine partner and just started to focus on your financial life. And that 7 of Wands here that is in reverse Yeah, it's almost like you turned away from having to defend. Many of you, I'm getting this is very specific, but some of you had to defend why you didn't have a partnership. Like, why were you focusing on your career so much? I think many of you had family members that wanted you to be in a relationship. So this is specific, but take it as you will. There was a lot of outside pressure because you're single. Maybe because you're single and successful, that maybe you come from a cultural family background where that feels like a waste if you don't have a partnership or you don't have a family. And maybe for some of you, this is your own thought, even that because for some of you, there's this like real heavy energy around wanting to be a parent, that it did feel like a waste to just have all of this success without a family, without a partnership. So going back to how you're leveling up in your finances, you finally kind of decided to put that to the side, the relationship. I think you begin to trust group number 2 that the relationship is coming. The relationship is coming. Right now, prepare for it. And I just think that you all decided to start preparing for it. Whether you feel like you're at the goal that you need to in finances or you're coming into it, many of you have decided to focus on building the nest, even in preparation for this beautiful sacred union that you have coming up. So let's talk about career. Let's just see how you're leveling up in the career, because it feels like that's what's happening, group number 2. It's like you've decided, okay, I'm going to trust that this sacred union's happening, that it's in motion, whether I see it or not. And I'm going to focus on my finances. I'm going to build the nest, so to speak. I'm going to build my coffers in preparation, because some of you do see yourself as parents, as a family, part of a family, growing a family. So career-wise, we've got a light. And then you had Little River in reverse. You have the Oracle in reverse, and then you have Shameless. So career-wise, group number 2, I get a sense that this light has to do with you really confirming that your career is the right thing for you to focus on right now, that your career is somehow building a road to this divine union. I don't know if you're going to meet this partner through a career energy, like a career event or a career task or a job. You might be meeting this particular partner through a career issue. Now, Little River, this is a new deck to me, so I haven't read like the book, the deck makers meeting from this. But when I look at this in the sense of like for you, group number 2, since it was reverse, but it's showing this beautiful horse running along the beach as the sun is setting. And I think for you too, group number 2, some of you had a lot of pressure on yourself in terms of a ticking clock, like thinking I'm getting too old to have a family, or soon I'll be too old to have a family. And I think for some of you, this is about not putting so much pressure on yourself to make someone into your divine counterpart, and to trust that spirit, your guides, are helping you manifest a way towards this perfect partnership. And that you don't need to worry about running out of time or getting too old, that things will happen in perfect timing. And that's why I feel like this Oracle card is in reverse too, because you're learning that the Oracle trusts Spirit's timing. And you're learning as your own oracle for yourself, group number 2, that you trust Spirit's timing. And that timing could be very different from our time versus the spirit world. The spirit world is putting pieces together to make sure this perfect partnership happens in the way that it needs to happen. And so with that, I think group number 2, when we look at this shameless card, it's about moving towards a space where you're not in shame because you don't have a partner. You're not in shame because this perfect partnership hasn't happened yet. You're letting go of all of these high expectations you have for yourself, or maybe high expectations that your family or community have for you, and you're allowing yourself to grow in your current situation, group number 2. Very powerful, because when you grow in your current situation, you embrace and embody that Queen of Pentacles. You embrace and embody the Empress, group number 2. And you are, of course, the Moon Child. So this is where I'm going to leave you, group number 2, because it's all divine. It's all divine. It's all in divine timing. The sacred union, it's all in divine timing. In fact, I'm so excited for you because it feels like a relationship that you've really called into yourself. This manifestation, this magic energy that Merlin's given you, I'm being told it is just a part of you. And so all the pieces are falling into place, group number 2. Let me know if this resonates with you. Let me know if you like this video by giving it a thumbs up or subscribing to my channel. I'm really appreciative that you've joined me here for this reading and this pick a card. Take care, group number 2. Hello, group number 3. Thank you so much for joining me for this pick a card reading on your next level up. So many of you are leveling up, group number 3, and what I get right away, it has to do with your psychic abilities. I don't know if you follow me on TikTok, but I have been literally, I guess I could say, preaching this, that I think that the next level up for the collective is to develop your psychic abilities. So group number 3, if you chose this card, which I'm going to show you right now a little bit closer, and it has number 15, which the number 15 comes to 6. That might be some kind of number, or 15 might have a special meaning for you all if you're in group number 3. But that inner vision, I think that this is your level up, group number 3. I'm getting right away, Spirit is showing me that some of you have always had, from a very young age, psychic abilities, whether you were clairaudient or clairvoyant. I think that what Spirit was showing me is that many of you grew up with some kind of ability, and maybe you even have a family history of having these abilities, but somewhere along the family line, it became very taboo or scary to have psychic abilities. And so for some of you, and this is very specific, but this is what Spirit is showing me, for some of you, you may have even had parents with these abilities who downplayed them, who suppressed them. Maybe this was because of some religious beliefs or just from intergenerational trauma of having to conform in a way in which maybe you lived in a community where psychic abilities were viewed as something really horrible, or they were labeled witchcraft, or, not that being a witch is anything bad. In fact, I identify with being a witch. But in certain cultures or communities, being a witch could be even dangerous. So for some of you, Spirit is showing me you may have grown up in a very psychic family in which a lot of that was suppressed. And as a result, Spirit is even showing me that as a result of suppressing your psychic abilities could cause, and this is, take it with a grain of salt, could cause a sense of feeling uneasy in your life. So know that I'm not diagnosing anyone or anything like that, but I'm just saying that Spirit is showing me that it's important to learn from your psychic abilities or in some way accept them, even if you decide that you're not going to use them. Like say you're not going to offer people readings or anything like that. Spirit is not saying that you need to do that. Spirit is saying to feel at comfort in having those abilities and know that it's Spirit's way of communicating with you or having a relationship with you. So Spirit is showing me that, group number 3. But in terms of the level up, there's a way in which this inner vision, you see how the person is wearing kind of like a headdress of a bird, of an eagle, and the eagle's eye is like glowing. It's so when you have that eagle energy or hawk energy, it has to do with seeing a bigger picture, seeing from a larger zoomed out perspective, group number 3. And so that when you're wearing that bird on the crown of the head, on the crown chakra here, there's a way in which your perspective lately has zoomed out. You're able to make connections collectively that you may have never tapped into before, group number 3. Many of you, your dream life is very active right now. For some of you, there's like this watery aspect to it. So maybe for some of you, water has something to do with your psychic abilities. I don't know if you're dreaming while you're in the tub taking a bath, or maybe you're going to the ocean and receiving downloads that way. Let me know in the comments how water's playing into this. I feel like for a small group of you, water as an element is coming forth as something that's helping your psychic abilities. Others of you, it's that connection with nature, with birds, with flying. Somehow this perspective that you have, group number 3, it's all also influencing the way you think, which is that crown chakra, right? It's opening up a part of you that's always felt like there's more here. There's more to how life really is. For some of you, life has always, when you saw the movie Matrix for the very first time, you really felt like you were the main character. You really felt like you were Neo, because you were just like, I sense this about life, that there's something more to it, that there's a hidden piece that I'm not aware of. And so right now, group number 3, I get that many of you are starting to have that lived experience of feeling like there's something else happening here, and I'm feeling like I'm becoming in touch with it. I feel like my world is shifting. I'm starting to understand who I am psychically. So group number 3, so powerful. Let's get into how your spirit guides, your angel guides are going to assist you with this level up, because becoming more aware of your psychic powers, it can come with some sense of fear because you don't know just how deep the rabbit hole goes sometimes, you don't know if you need to be protecting yourself in a particular kind of way. Like there's just so much to keep in mind, because the spirit world has its own rules, right? The spirit world is quite different from this 3D. Wow, so you have Archangel Raziel. Look at that. Mysteries, group number 3. Secrets. And it says here, protected knowledge. Wow, group number 3, we were just talking about this. Do you see? So number 12, Archangel Raziel, is showing up for you here, group number 3. Because we were just talking about this. When you start to develop these psychic powers, or even just become much more knowledgeable of your psychic self, it comes with understanding that the spirit world has its own ground rules, has its own forces, and you have to understand that. And many of the lessons that we have to learn with the spirit world are shrouded in mystery, in secrets. And there's a lot of protected knowledge. When you start to get into developing yourself psychically, there's a lot of practices that are closed. You know, like you could only practice this practice if you were part of a bloodline, or you can only practice this practice if you were initiated. So there's a lot of, for some of you, there's been a little bit of a, how do you say, you've had to learn how to navigate all this because of the power of the psyche and the power of people who are in this world, group number 3. I think many of you have come to understand that you do have to protect yourself. You have to learn how to protect yourself. So Archangel Raziel is coming to show you how to protect yourself. Many of you are going to start to, if you haven't already, you're starting to get downloads, or there's synchronicities that are leading you to information on how to protect yourself, how to guard yourself while you're in this work, while you're developing this work, group number 3, because your inner vision is powerful. And for some people who are in this psychic spiritual world, they can pick up on the fact that you may not know everything about your power yet, and they could possibly take advantage. I don't want to scare you, but they could possibly try to take advantage of you when you don't realize how much power you have, group number 3. So it is important to work with your guides, to keep yourself protected, to go at a pace that feels right for you, to gain the knowledge and the wisdom in a way that feels grounded, group number 3. So that's what Spirit is also telling me. Gain your knowledge and wisdom in a grounded way, at a pace that feels good for you, not to just dive into things because people are like, this will help you develop your psychic abilities. Don't sign up for the first class you come across. Take time to research teachers. I'm being told to communicate this to you, group number 3. Take time to research teachers. Take time to understand that every time you open yourself up to getting psychic readings or to being in any kind of spiritual practice with people, if you're not divinely protected, if you aren't intentionally protecting yourself, you can leave yourself wide open to anyone, all those energies psychically. Again, this is not to scare you, group number 3. It's more of Spirit saying, be very intentional, do your homework, be much more, Spirit is saying that they don't think you'll like this word, but be much more conservative about how you're going to develop yourself and who you allow to teach you. Okay, group number 3, that's important. Spirit is showing me that that's really important as you deepen your abilities, as you go on this path, on this journey, group number 3. So let's go to your relationships. How are they leveling up as you develop yourself psychically, group number 3? It's very exciting to know that you all are really listening to Spirit's guidance and developing yourself this way. Like I said, I've been really a proponent of that lately. Now, you have the Star card here, group number 3, and it came in reverse or kind of tilted. This is wish fulfillment, the Star card. It's like all the alchemy is coming together and your wishes are fulfilled. Many of you have wished to know more about your psychic abilities. And when the star card comes in, this wish fulfillment is speaking again. When it's in reverse, it's speaking again to maybe not fully researching who you're involved with, who you're doing work with, or what practices you're doing. So this is kind of like Spirit's warning here, group number 3, to move past the desire to want to be psychic, understand that you are, and drop into a place of being very conservative and intentional with how you develop yourself. They're showing me the star in reverse because I think sometimes we can get wrapped up in wanting to be psychic and not understanding maybe all that comes along with it. So I think that's a large part of your reading, group number 3, and a large part of your level up is to know that this is powerful abilities. This is nothing to sneeze at. This is not just grab a book and learn how to do it or do a certificate course. This is not that. Like, you all were born with these abilities. You come from many of you come from a bloodline in which this was part of your family's abilities, part of your family's gifts. And so for you, group number 3, this is a completely different mission with psychic abilities than someone who's just kind of having to learn all of this. Like I said, for many of you, this is family, this is lineage. And if you don't know your family, if you don't, for some reason you were adopted or never in contact with your family, know that part of your family that you don't know anything about, this could possibly be a large part of their gifts or what was going on for them. Wow, we've got a lot of cards here, but let's look at them. So we have Judgment in reverse. And again, I think group number 3, you're being called to lean more into your spirit guides, lean more into your ancestors. For some of you, this is a call. The Judgment card for me is very ancestral. So when it comes in reverse, it means lean into those ancestors, lean into their guidance, develop an ear to hear them, group number 3. You also have the Death card in reverse. So it's not about major transformation for you right now, group number 3. That's not necessarily what it is, because Spirit is telling me if you are attracted to this group, to this reading, you already have these abilities. This is not something that, if you're listening to this and this is the first time you're kind of like even thinking about this information, this may not be the group for you, because this is for people who have had demonstrated scenarios, experiences with psychic abilities of some sort. And whether or not you know your family or not, there's something there. So Spirit is saying that this is not a huge shift from you. Like, this Death in reverse means that this is part of your life, or has been in some way a part of your life. Now you have this 9 of Swords, group number 3. And I think what you've got to understand here is that there's a way in which these psychic abilities, especially in a society that regards certain psychic abilities as pathologies, like, say, if you're clairaudient, you're hearing Spirit's voice, or the voice of spirit guides. Maybe you're a medium even. For some segments of society, hearing voices is a psychological pathology. And so for some of you, you may have been in those environments that really judged psychic abilities as being psychiatric experiences. And so you've had to, like, really I don't know if you personally believed this or grew up believing this or worked in environments where this was kind of the judgment. And I think for many of you, you've had to understand that no, what you're experiencing is different. What you're experiencing is spirit talking to you, and you've had to understand, maybe in some cases, how to discern that, like what spirit's voice sound like versus my own voice, or versus something that is not spirit, that is not grounded in what is good or pure. So some of you have had to deal with that, like all the thoughts around that, like, am I quote unquote crazy? Am I going insane kind of thoughts. You also have this Page of Pentacles. This came up for group number 2, I think, too. Page of Pentacles, like, am I supposed to be doing something with this materially? Like, how is this impacting my life right now? So when we look at relationships, because we're kind of like focusing on relationships right now in the level up, I think there's something here about using your abilities, group number 3, to help you materially, to bring new manifestations your way, to help you in life. Not just to kind of be fascinated with it, like, oh, I kind of heard this and this came true, but how do you use your abilities to help you with everyday mundane life? Help you get a job, help you maintain a certain level of finances, like all of those things, group number 3. That's what Spirit is saying. Like, you not only have these abilities, but you can use them for your benefit, to your advantage. And then you have that Two of Swords. And that Two of Swords, going back to relationship, because that's what we're in to this Page of Pentacles too, it's like, how do I use this to manifest the partnership that I need that's kind of grounded and rooted in the material for some reason? So that came up for somebody, and I wanted to mention that. But the Two of Swords too, it's helping you make better decisions, this ability. The more that you start to trust yourself, trust your intuition, the more that you will be able to decide things in your best benefit, group number 3. There's a way in which Spirit is saying, use your powers not only for good, but for your benefit, to grow in life, to thrive in life. That's why the ability is there. Not necessarily so that you could become famous doing this, but so that you can grow your life. And if becoming famous is what you want, then you could do that too. But it's to help you thrive, to help you stay 10 steps ahead of any kind of like life situations. That's why you have these abilities. It's a gift for you. So let's go into, so we focused on relationships. Why don't we go into finances? Because that started to come up with that Page of Pentacles, like your material life, group number 3. What is this leveled up psychic ability? What is it? How is it impacting your finances, your material life? Because that's coming up. Oh, you have the garden here. Let me show you. So we have the garden here, which I believe in this deck is the Wheel of Fortune. And so that Wheel of Fortune for you, group number 3, it's coming back again to the Wheel of Fortune turns for everyone, right? Sometimes we're on the bottom of it, and sometimes we're on the top of it, reaping the rewards of life. And it's showing me here in the upright position, group number 3, that you'll learn how to reap the rewards of your abilities, of your gifts. You will start to learn, if you stay in authenticity, if you stay aligned with Spirit, you're going to learn how to use these gifts for your, I don't know, I don't want to sound like, it feels like if I say for your gain, it feels a little selfish, but for your benefit. and for your family's benefit, for growth purposes. And so that Wheel of Fortune is saying now is the time. Like, this leveling up is showing you that because of your correct way of using your abilities, because you're going to learn how to protect yourself and tap into knowledge wisely, you're going to experience being on top of the wheel. You're going to experience that growth, that prosperity. Okay, group number 3, very exciting. Let's see if there's anything else coming up for you in terms of finances. You've got the Knight of Pentacles coming in reverse. So that means that things that appear to be, the Knight of Pentacles to me sometimes can feel like very slow energy coming in on the material plane. But I love this card, particularly for the Knight of Pentacles, because in this card you see the figure here pointing to the astrology. So there's something coming up for you, group number 3, in terms of pay attention to the astrology of something. Maybe there's a particular time period that you need to be aware of. When I'm filming this, we're just in the winter solstice energy, but pay attention to the timing of the energies. That might be a way, group number 3, that you're learning how to balance out your psychic abilities by combining it with the knowledge of astrology. Either way, financially, it seems like you're being released from a stall or something blocking your finances. And I think the reason is that you are going to start to use your psychic abilities, your powers, to benefit yourself in the mundane. So once you start to do that, it unblocks all of the financial challenges. The financial blocks are released. Okay, group number 3. So that's a possibility there. Now let's go into your career. And that's kind of linked this way as well. Group number 3. Yeah, there's something about you using these otherworldly gifts or abilities to benefit yourself. I keep hearing that, group number 3. And I know that for some of you, it feels like, oh, it's kind of cheating at life if I kind of know these things are going to happen, or I know certain things. But, oh, look at this, group number 3. So you've got Venus undone. I hope you could see this. Venus undone. So going back to that astrology really quick, it may have something to do with the Venus transits that are happening right now. So if you Google Venus transits for 2022, take a look at that, group number 3. But right now, Venus undone, that's about this like love of your power, of yourself, right? Venus is about relationships too. And so there's something like having this come up in your career in terms of leveling up is learning to do the work that you actually love, group number 3. There's something about you falling into your abilities that's going to propel some of you to even change careers, to understand that maybe you were taught from a young age that being an artist would never bring you money, that doing certain kinds of careers would be, you would live in poverty. But now that you understand your abilities, group number 3, being an artist or something you've always desired to do, maybe you wanted to be a chef, maybe you wanted to be a doula, whatever it is, group number 3, you're starting to understand that the money will come because you're going to make decisions from your psychic awareness that's going to help you in the mundane world. That's powerful, group number 3. That's really powerful. And I think that that's the main message on this level up, is to understand that these abilities are not just so that you make some TikToks or get social media famous. They're for your benefit. And your ancestors want you to know that too. You've got the rainbow road here. And you've also got the paradox, which is what we've been speaking about, right? Group number 3. The paradox of like being able to use your psychic abilities to help you in the material world, and understanding that that is okay because you were gifted with that. Your family has the blessings of these gifts for a reason. Maybe long ago, ancestors unknown to you, your family was blessed with these gifts because of some beautiful things that they did. And you may have gotten disconnected from that story, but spirit is still blessing your lineage. And so to know that, even if your lineage right now is showing up as kind of broken or sick, know that these psychic abilities were part of a gift. That's what I'm being told by spirit right now, that they were a gift to your family because of maybe some old ancient ancestor that did great work. And so to know that the rainbow road, rainbow to me does not only mean LGBT community, even though I feel like it's a very strong symbol for that community and love it. Also, the rainbow is a bridge. The rainbow bridges the worlds, the mundane world with the spirit world. So you're being shown here, group number 3. And while some of you might be part of the LGBT community, this could signify that. But it really, for me, showing up the way it does here in your career is bridging the world of the material and the spiritual. This is what your gift is going to do, group number 3. Some of you will find a career or work, like say if you were an artist, you start to bridge your psychic abilities with the creative. Like whatever you end up doing, it's like you're going to understand that these psychic abilities come with you. It's almost like you're saying, this comes with me. This is who I am. This is my identity. So whatever I'm doing in life, whatever career, I'm bringing this part of me as a central part of who I am and how I show up and how I make decisions and how I decide to thrive in life. Very powerful, group number 3. Wow. I'm glad that I'm in contact with you, even if it's just through this reading, because it feels like it resonates for me so much. Like this use of the spiritual, this use of the magic with life. It was never meant to be separate. It all comes together. It's a whole of who we are, group number 3. So this is where I'm going to leave you because I just feel like all has been said. Spirit wants you to know that this path is for you. And I'm so happy for you, group number 3. So if you've liked this message, you've resonated with it, please leave a comment. Please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. But let me know if this resonates. Let me know. I'm very curious. I want a follow-up even. If you come back later and said, oh, I'm going to leave a comment because these things happen, I would appreciate it. Thanks so much. Take care, group number 3. Take care. Peace.